So we just came from observing a strategic planning meeting, right? That's going to determine the next 3 to 5 years of the organization that we're going to be consulting to. So I'm just curious, when did you notice that the energy went up? And when did you notice that it went down? What kind of stuff was happening in the room?
People were on their phones.
Okay.
That's kind of got the start.
And so energy went up or down?
I think, yeah.
Down. Started to down.
Not everybody, but some.
Okay.
Blank stares.
Yawns and stretching.
Okay. Great. Did you notice where people started to get dug into their perspective?
Oh, yeah.
Do what Rolf talked about earlier about being in their conclusions. And what did you notice with the energy? It started to tag. What about when people were starting to build on each other's ideas, listening for understanding and that kind of thing? Energy went up. Absolutely. So, did you know that? Very interesting. When we get together as a group, there's some research that says a group that has an average of an IQ of 125, when they get together and they don't actually have good protocol and things like this, the IQ goes down to 68. It's amazing. It's amazing. So for you as consultants, if I could give you a tool that when you are in a situation with a client and they are kind of going at it and one group is getting dug in and another group's getting dug in and they're not getting anywhere. I mean, you ever have that experience?
Absolutely.
As consultants? Right, right, never. But if I could give you a tool to be able to navigate that really well and help everybody make that a transparent dynamic and make you a more dangerous consultant, would that be worthwhile?
Absolutely.
Okay, good, great. Think about for a moment the topic of some of those, what I'm going to call perennial arguments that happen among people. Think about some of those topics, whether you're in an organization. Let's talk about, say, cost and quality. Let's talk about as a parent, tough love, unconditional love. Right? Your mom wants to give this, dad wants to give this. Okay? As a team, should we focus on task or should we focus on relationship? Oftentimes, these are the kind of things that they're arguing about. Call them paradoxes, call them dilemmas, right? Guys, we're not talking about making a choice like going out for Italian or Chinese tonight. You can't just dismiss one of those things. In fact, so what we're talking about is it may be that we're involved and our clients are involved in trying to resolve problems that shouldn't be resolved. They're actually polarities that need to be managed over a period of time, which requires a high level of understanding. And here's the dynamic. It looks something like this. So I'm going to just map this for us very simply. You got one pole here, one pole here. Let's take something incredibly simple. What's the opposite of that?
Excellent.
Thank you very much. But guess what? I'm all about inhaling. So I would really like for all of you to inhale with me for a moment. So come on, because I really want you to just inhale because I really think that's where it's at, okay? I'm really focused on the upside of inhaling. And so anybody, and all of a sudden what's happening is I'm starting to what? Get in the downside of inhaling. And then where do we go? Where do we go? Over here. At some point we got to exhale. Because what we want is what? The positive side of exhaling, and eventually, once we've exhaled, we're in the downside. And then guess where we go? So you begin to see a dynamic emerging that you see the stronger one side is, like cost makes its point in the financial meeting, great. But then quality also needs to make its point. Because if both of those dynamics are not present in the system basically just breaks down. And so if they can actually begin to see the upside of each other's point of view, then you have something that you can work with. But not without this, which is what we're going to call the GPS, or the greater purpose statement, that is common to both of these groups. And you also have to identify the fear. In this case, our greater purpose is, let's just call it here, if we're going to inhale and exhale, staying alive. If we're going to talk about our greatest fear, it's time, right? So, what do you get when you inhale? What's the positive side of inhaling?
Oxygen.
What do we got?
Nutrients, oxygen.
Oxygen. Thank you. And then what happens as we start to get in the downside of inhaling? What happens to us?
Our lungs explode.
We build up. Okay? And then what do we need to do? Go to the positive side of exhaling. Great. So, and what do we get from exhaling? Well, we get rid of the CO2. Leaves our body, because that begins to be a poison for us. The trees love it, but not so good for us. And then the downside of being totally exhaled. Okay, start to wrap it up.
Yep.
Is, okay. So, two truths, both of them accurate. Neither of them complete. Not without each other. And the key is, can we make that dynamic transparent for them? And can they choose together as a group not to get stuck? Not to get stuck here, 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 or here, but stay in a dynamic motion together and mitigate the downside here and try to stay as much as possible up here in the upside of both. And it begins to look like this, and it is the most consistent dynamic that we have. And that way, you can help your clients resolve a lot more. So, thanks.